Hello, welcome aboard the train of thought. Next destination is Hope's Peak Academy. I'm Jonii, your conductor, and the complimentary peanuts will be coming to your seat shortly. Sorry, if someone could come up and help me shell my peanuts, I'd really appreciate that. I'm having some trouble.
And I'm Daro, the train's mascot, patent pending.
Yeah, it's we're working on it. Anyway, the idea of this podcast is that we pick a little starting topic, we get on the train, and then we just see where the train takes us, and at the end we'll trace it on back so you can see the journey.
Have you ever seen that movie about that one train that goes through the snow all the time? Yeah, it's like that.
Oh yeah, the Antarctic train, that's what it's called. But we're not talking about movies today, we're actually talking about books.
Ew, books.
Gross. Yeah, anyway, I think the way we'll do this, because this is a little test episode, is I will introduce, I guess we'll switch off, but today I guess I'll introduce the topic, and the moment I finish introducing it, I will hit our 45-minute timer, and the next 45 minutes we'll just see where we go, and after that we'll see if we can figure out why we went where we did.
What happened?
What exactly went down? That's the alternate title of the podcast, is What Happened. But yeah, our jumping on point, letting all the passengers on today, is books that we read in English class. So the thing that immediately strikes me about this topic is that and these are technically books, is Daro and I once had a conversation about the Shakespeare plays we read.
I was going to go into this too.
Yeah, we read some Romeo and Juliet, and I think one of the interesting things about reading things like that is sometimes when they make a book or a play, they also make a movie. And Daro and I both got the privilege of watching the Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet.
No, I only got the privilege of watching the scene at the gas station and the scene where, spoilers, Mercutio dies.
Oh, they didn't show you the whole movie?
No, they didn't, and I was like, I felt betrayed because that's the most insane nonsense I've ever seen, and I want to see more of it.
You didn't even get to hear fucking Radiohead play over the credits at the end. Oh my god, I got a DVD of that from Half Price Books recently, and it's called like the music edition, and what that means is there's a menu where it's like music mode, and you can pick any of the 90s like pop and rock songs they made that they put in that movie, but it just shows you the scene where the songs play, and it's not that interesting in a lot of cases.
I think that's what they call an AMV in the
It's not even though, because they didn't like sync up, like they didn't even like mute the dialogue or anything or play the whole song. It's like say you pick Love Fool by the Cardigans, it shows you 20 seconds of Juliet's maid like checking the fridge and then turning around, and Juliet's like, I'm in love with a boy, and then the maid smiles, and you don't even get through the chorus of Love Fool before the scene ends and it boots you to the menu.
I know what these are called. These are called hit clips.
They kind of are. Did you ever have any hit clips?
No, I feel like when the time that hit clips were popular, I was like 3.
I feel like we're probably in the same boat there. We didn't set up any rules for the podcast beforehand, so you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to Google hit clips, because I want to see like the time frame here.
We're allowed to Google.
Yeah, I can't promise I'll put a visual on the screen.
Oh, look at that. Hit clips disc 2003 to 2004.
The sad thing is that means that's probably out of the time frame when they would have made one of Love Fool. There's an M2M hit clips? I'm sorry? Wait, what? Like M2M, the band who did Don't Say You Love Me, which is in the credits of the first Pokemon film. And that's their most notable song. And it's not even of that song. That's really weird. Perhaps more relevantly, there are several Smash Mouth hit clips, which is really good.
Early 2000s, what else are you gonna do?
I mean, I guess so.
This guy, I thought that said K. Rool in the Gang, and I'm like, wait a minute. Am I stupid? Lil Romeo.
Celebration by K. Rool in the Gang, the famous.
Lil Romeo from Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure.
Is Lil Romeo in Disney's Extreme Ski Adventure?
Yeah, one of his songs, and also you could play as him.
Well, I was gonna say it's basically a Tony Hawk game where, of course, I mean, Will and I were talking about this literally like a day or two ago, where he's just like, "Hey Johnny, what's more random? The fact that you can play as what was it? It was as can you play as Kiss in Underground? Is that it?
Yeah.
He said, what's more random, the fact that you can play as Kiss in Tony Hawk's Underground, or the fact that you can play as Billy Joe Armstrong and Lil Jon in American Wasteland? And I said, Billy Joe Armstrong alone would be more random, but if you factor in Lil Jon, it is not even a competition.
Oh,
like, what were they doing?
There was a lot of weird secret characters, such as the ever-popular Shrek.
Oh, they did do Shrek. Was that in American Wasteland, or was that a different game?
That's in Underground 2.
Underground 2 is such a clusterfuck, dude. Like, Underground 2... I mean, we were playing the beginning part of Underground again, and I forgot how crazy that was, because it's all like... Yo, Eric, like, this is great. Chad Muska said I might be on my way to getting a sponsorship if I can convince the people from our skate shop. And then Eric's like... Those dealers are after me, man. This is gonna be trouble.
Up their car.
Yeah, I set their car ablaze, and now they're gonna kill me. We
gotta escape this state.
You have to jump over the bridge, like, and your character's just like, what? It's great because I was every time I've played Underground before, I've played as the male character who's like kind of animated in the dialogue. But when you play as the female character, she's so laid back about everything. So she's just like. What? Huh? Okay, well, I guess so. You just going about the map. She's like, yo, Mike V.
Yo, Mikey Simon?
I don't think we can bring that up right now.
And now we have to backtrack back to English books. That's our punishment.
Oh, God. Does that mean we have to, like, recap everything in between?
I don't know.
Flashback sound.
It's just like we only talked about like one book. I wanted to talk about a little bit more.
That's true. We had like a sentence of English books. Let's see if we can steer this train of thought back to the station.
I think, yeah. If we transition back occasionally, that's fine. We keep it grounded as we go off on stupid tangents.
Yeah, that'll at least make the episode title or the subject matter of the episode feel like it means something.
So, you probably... I don't know what you read, but we had to read some Great Gatsby.
We did not read that, but people in one of our adjacent classes in my school did read that.
Well, you lucked out. That's crazy. Anyway, this is the part where I complain about English classes and looking over the text way too hard to find symbolism.
The curtains are fucking blue problem.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a big proponent of literary comprehension. I'm not a big proponent of game theorying the entire book.
And not even game busts into your English classroom and is like, what is the Freudian explanation for this book? Like,
no, Matt Pat doesn't even get this bad. Like, at least, his theories aren't based on symbolism. They're based on the text.
That's true.
This is like, Daisy's dress was white in this scene because it symbolizes her pure and innocent nature.
Oh,
and it's like, maybe her dress was white because it was the 1920s, and that's just what women wore.
Yeah, I mean, women still wear white dresses sometimes. I mean, it's just a color of dress you can get. Often when they get married. I went to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert the other day, and we left, and at the exact same time the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert ended, a country concert down the street ended. So there were people in like casual like flannels and shirts and crop tops and streetwear like walking down the street, and we ran into a horde of women wearing white dresses and cowboy hats. So I guess if you're really into country music, you still do wear white dresses.
That's like whenever there's like a furry convention and at like a hotel, and you go to the hotel because you're just on vacation.
I did hear one guy walking past the he was in a cowboy hat. He was a black like suit and cowboy hat, and he was walking past, and I just overheard him say like, "Do you see a furry over there?" And I was like, "What?" And unfortunately, I didn't see any furries, to my knowledge.
I like how it's an unfortunately.
Honestly, would have rather seen some furries rather than a horde of country music fans. Sorry, any country music fans listening. Anyway, The Great Gatsby.
Anyway, boy oh boy, every time that we had to read books in high school, I sure just looked up SparkNotes and didn't read them.
Yeah, I had a lot of classmates who did that too. I was a good boy and I pretended that I was reading the book.
There was stupid books like I remember this one book that we read in like, this is one that wasn't actually high school. So I think the real title of required reading just works better here, because this was in like middle school, but it was like this book called The Pearl or whatever.
Okay.
And like it was about this guy on an island and he finds a big shiny pearl, and then a bunch of rich people come and are like, I want the pearl, and they're like, no. And then it's just a big fight, and it's, you know, but we had to watch the movie, and this movie was the most absurd retelling because it wasn't like Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet level, sadly, but it was just kind of like the scene where he's like diving for a pearl, and it's like 5 minutes long, and he's like still holding his breath the entire time, and there's so many camera angles, and it's like, oh my god.
It's like cinematically shot. It's running.
He also punches a fence at one point. What? And I love it because he punches a fence because he got mad.
I mean, is the fence responsible for his anger? Because otherwise, I think he needs.
I think it was the capitalists, actually.
Well, then he should be punching the capitalists. I think he's got to more effectively channel his anger by punching capitalists.
Anyway, I think more movies should have people punching fences.
I think more movies should have people punching capitalists. Wait, maybe the fence was a capitalist. Do you think, or it could have been like built by a cap? I mean, probably likely if it's in America. Built. Yeah.
Oh well, this isn't America. This was Ireland that I forgot where it was. Hold on, this is called the Google section.
Yeah. This is Googling. See how much worse this podcast would be if we forbade Googling.
Yeah, it's like when you're playing Gartic and you like, hold on, I need to look this up, and then your friend says no. Yeah. And then you just create an abomination.
Yeah, it's like, how can art happen if you do not have a reference to work with? And what is the Train of Thought podcast but art?
Okay, it was in La Paz.
La Paz.
AKA that's in Mexico.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about the setup of Mexico, like economically. I assume it's also a capitalist country, but I don't actually like know the specifics.
Well, I don't remember. I thought they lived on an island.
Well,
maybe it was
an island of
it.
Mexico. Does Mexico have islands? I don't know anything about geographically about. Okay, maybe
they're small.
I don't know anything like geographically about any part of the world.
Also, the main character's name is Kino, which is what people say when something is good.
That's very funny. I always think about that because I haven't seen it, but there's an anime that's called Kino's Journey. And I'm like, dude, that would be like the equivalent of titling an anime like Peak's Journey. Like, it's so good. And I've heard it is actually really good, but I haven't seen it. I have like no idea what it's about. It just comes up and I'm like again, it's like calling something Based's Journey. Oh, there's a reboot? They made two of them. They made 2003 and 2017.
See, whenever I heard the word Kino, I just think of, you mean like the lottery? Because you replace the I with an E, and it's just like, wait a minute. That's what we do here. The lottery.
Is Kino like a lottery thing? I don't actually know anything about that.
I don't know. The picture looks like those standardizing test forms that you get when you have to like highlight the letter in dark with a dark mark. Whenever I did standardized testing in school, and then like the instructions were like, be sure to bubble in your answer with a dark mark, and in my head I was like, who's Dark Mark?
It's like LS Mark's evil alter ego. It's weird to me that the phrasing of it for you was like a dark mark, because I feel like in my schooling it was so much more specific. Like, I don't know if they were ever like for you if they were like, yeah, just make sure to like really, I don't remember the exact wording, but they just really emphasized like fill it in completely, like thoroughly, like don't miss a spot.
I'm pretty sure they did say, like, fill it in completely with a dark mark.
With a dark mark. I remember they told us to, like, just push down hard on the graphite, I think.
Jeez.
To make sure it was, like we weren't doing just, like, a light dusting of the little answer bubble. God, this is just making me think. I'm not, like, in school right now because I did my 2-year for college, but I still have to do, like, a driving test because I don't drive. And so I'm, like, trying to practice for that. And I know I'm going to have to fill in the little bubbles, but I tried listening to, like, a little practice test at work to attempt to, like, get the knowledge flowing through my brain. But then halfway through, it was just all, like... Because it was a YouTube video originally, so it's all, like, what sign is pictured here? A blank, B blank, and I was like, I can't see it, and that was like the entire back like 15 minutes of the quiz. It was awful.
Use your imagination.
Yeah, I have to like envision the sign in my mind's eye, apparently. Which is really hard. I don't think I had to do any audio practice tests for like actual school because it was like, well, they give you the material to study, you know, like which I guess they do with the driver's test. They give you the driver's manual, but it's really long and I have no attention span, so I would rather do a practice test. But yeah, you gotta go to some real like back corners of the internet to find useful practice driving tests, or at least that's the impression I've gotten from not
the dark web.
You have to open the deep web.
That's where Dark Marcus.
He's the founder of the Tor browser. You gotta open up the Tor browser and you gotta type in, how do I get my driver's license? And it's like, do you mean like get a counterfeit license? And it's like, no, I want to pass the standardized test for my state. Like, oh man. I mean, probably it's also just weirder because I'm a legal adult, and most people who like to try getting their driver's licenses are little baby teenagers. And the process...
Little baby teenagers.
Yeah, the process is different if you're a little baby teenager because you're required to do driver's ed, whereas if you're an adult, you don't actually need to do driver's ed. You just need to do some tests. So, I don't know. Weird stuff. A novel I read in English class is... Oh my god, I was talking about this the other day. I barely remember the novel, but I watched the movie. Did you ever read Tuck Everlasting?
That is a name that I feel like I remember, but I didn't read it, I don't think.
I barely remember reading it. We read it in middle school. And I think independently with one of my friends who was also in that English class, like years later, we watched the Disney like 2003 film adaptation of Tuck Everlasting.
What was the book about? Time to Google.
Yeah, here, I can explain it. It's like, it's this really stupid thing. Basically, there's, oh, wait, no, the book is different than the movie. Because the movie, I think, ages up the,
I did read this!
Oh my god. Did you ever see the movie?
Maybe. I think. Possibly.
Yeah. Can you tell me if I'm misremembering? Because
I love this Wikipedia thing. Jesse Tuck, the youngest in his family. Jesse is 104 years old.
That's pretty good. I'm really sad that their family name is Tuck and it's not that there's just a guy named Tuck, because that was my... Yeah, that goes to show how well I remember it. I just remember...
in my head, I'm like, who is this guy named Tuck? Why is he everlasting?
I remembered it being... Because it also says the main protagonist, who's Winnie, is like 10 years old. And I remember her being older in the movie. But I remember it being like... The way I explained it to someone like a week ago was like, yeah, so there's this girl and she meets this guy named Tuck, and eventually they fall in love, and she's like, I want to be with you, Tuck, and he's like, you cannot be with me, for I am everlasting, and then it ends.
And then it's like cut to the grave of the main character.
And then like Tuck's like looking at the grave. It's like, damn, the book really is called Tuck Everlasting. And he sheds a tear and he's like, but it's not called Winnie Everlasting. And then it like pans up to the sky, and then a sequel comes out 5 years later called Winnie Everlasting.
Is this called The Corpse Bride?
It's like there's only two ways this book could have ended: in tragedy or in necrophilia. Which I guess is a tragedy of its own.
Yeah. I like on the characters list, there's a guy called the Man in the Yellow Suit, and I'm like the guy from Curious George.
Dude, what if he is the guy from Curious George, but just like years later where he Actually, I was going to say where he could afford to buy a yellow suit. The man in the yellow hat does wear a yellow suit.
Yeah, what's his name again? It's like Tim or something?
It's the man in the yellow hat.
No, that's not his name. He has a name.
Well, here, if I remember correctly, it's weird because in the film he has a name, but Ted Shackelford is his name.
Yeah, Ted.
If I'm remembering correctly, he is named in the film, but in the PBS TV show, which is that is 90% of my Curious George experience. Yeah,
basically that's all I know about it, was the PBS thing.
He's just referred to as the man in the yellow hat. I don't know if he's called Ted in the books or not. I don't think he is. Oh, God.
Says here he probably wasn't.
And then they made 2 other movies, Curious George 2 and 3, and there's an interesting situation going on with all of this because the first Curious George film. So here's the Curious George lineage, right? You have
the lore.
You have the books, which are old and crusty, but they're beloved children's classics.
40s, 50s,
and 60s, baby. And then there's a couple other adaptations before that, but for the purposes of this discussion, in 2006 they made a film, a traditionally animated film, wherein the man in the yellow hat is performed by Will Ferrell. Apparently Drew fucking Barrymore is also in this movie, and also Dick Van Dyke.
There was a song that I think was like the main song of that movie.
Yeah, didn't they have like Jason Mraz do the soundtrack or something?
I remember hearing this song at like the grocery store, like radio, and I'm like, is that the song from Curious George?
Oh my God, wait, it's Jack Johnson, who is essentially also Jason Mraz.
What was the song called?
There are a couple songs by him, but I think the big one is Upside Down.
Yeah, because I think I heard that at the supermarket once. And I'm like, how do I know this? That's Curious George. Apparently,
there is a cover of "We're Going to Be Friends" by the White Stripes in this film, also, which is pretty good. But yeah, no, they made this movie. There was a big movie. They got a bunch of celebrities. They got Jack Johnson to do the soundtrack, famous acoustic guitar man, who is indistinguishable from all the other famous acoustic guitar men. To my knowledge, again, don't get mad at me if you're a Jack Johnson fan. I have not really listened to his work. Maybe he's good. But they did this movie. It was big budget. It did, I think, let's check the box office returns really quick. They made this movie. This is really ominous. On the Wikipedia page for most things that have like further follow-ups, it says like legacy or sequels or whatever. On the Wikipedia page for Curious George, that section is just future.
The future of Curious George.
To which it says television series, sequels, future films. And I don't think... apparently they were working on a live action one a while ago. I hope that doesn't come out because it'll probably suck. But yeah, I cannot find the... Wait, box office. It was a modest financial success.
It was watched.
It was a budget of $50 million and it made like $70 million. So it made back all its money and more. That's pretty good. But then they made the PBS TV show where they were like, no, you know what Curious George is for? Curious George is for learning. You're going to learn.
Curious George.
Curious George is for learning. But yeah, they made this TV show. He is no longer Ted Shackelford. They got a bunch of just like voice actors because Will Ferrell probably didn't want to do a PBS show that ran for 15 seasons. Wait, are they still making it? Wait, hold on. I thought they stopped. It looks like they stopped for a while, twice, but currently they're still making it. They made a season and released the entirety of it on Peacock last year.
That's a funny word.
Peacock. Yeah, no, like the NBC streaming service.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know any of these.
They, I don't know how to reckon with the information that they're still making the Curious George cartoon. I think they should stop.
Well, I mean, it's kids' cartoons. They're gonna have they're gonna go on either forever or for like 2 seasons.
That's true. But I just didn't think this was like a forever cartoon. I thought,
well, it's Curious George. He's like a forever monkey. He's an everlasting George.
George Everlasting.
Yeah, whatever.
If we didn't already have a banger title for this podcast, I feel like George Everlasting would be great.
Can we do that, honestly?
I'll write it down.
Please.
George Everlasting. But yeah, they because PBS used to do that all the time, where they would I guess they've had both kinds of shows, because Arthur went on like forever. They kept making new episodes of Arthur for a really long time, so they kept airing it.
They had the gay rat wedding.
They had the gay rat wedding. They did I want to say they did something else that was pretty based, but Arthur in general is based.
PBS Kids. I'm going to look it up. This is important.
But what I was going to say is PBS Kids, if I'm remembering right, also has a bunch of shows that they have religiously aired for the last like 20 years that have long ended and have like 3 seasons.
Oh, like Cyber Chase?
Like Cyber Chase, baby. I love Cyber Chase.
I'm looking up original programming list, and I'm like, oh, it's Cyber Chase. Yeah, that probably keeps getting reruns.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The ones that I immediately thought of, because I was talking about it yesterday with someone, was Zaboomafoo.
Zaboomafoo definitely has tons of reruns.
Yeah, I've seen Zaboomafoo, because I have nieces that come over. And I feel like I've seen Zaboomafoo on PBS as recently as last year. That fucking lemur has been dead for almost a decade. Like, they're not making new episodes of Zaboomafoo.
Dude, when I was a kid, I think Fetch It Rough Ruffin was my jam. Because the thing is that you gotta remember also is that PBS is like... hold on, I think it's a Boston thing. I'm fairly certain.
I think so, yeah.
I'm going to double check. Just in case.
Yeah.
No, it's apparently a Virginia thing. But we had WGBH Boston, and we're the Boston boys. Fetch It Rough Ruffman is a Boston show. That is the Massachusetts show of all time. I'm telling you.
It's a pretty Boston show.
We have our, like every state has something they're proud of. They got their heritage. I don't care about the Tea Party, all right? That was a forever ago. We had Fetch with Ruffman, the episode where they go on the quest to find all of the little planet stations. That hit home because I see the T train station. I'm like, I know where that is. Well, I didn't really know where it is. Yeah, not all of those planet stations are still around. I know some of them still are, but some of them are not.
I have not looked into Rough Ruffman lore since I was probably like 10, but no, I'm a Rough Ruffman. I was a Rough Ruffman freak as a child. There were several times where it looked like Rough Ruffman was going to be canceled, and I was so genuinely upset. And then I think,
like all the constant jokes where he jokes that his show's getting canceled.
Yeah, and then they'd have like really long gaps betwixt seasons. Like it says that because I think after season 3 it was a little up in the air for a minute.
Well, because they had to do all the filming of the quests, all
they had to make
Massachusetts.
They had to go find 6 children. But yeah, no, they they had a bunch of games on the website. I played the games. They tried to teach you like science. I don't remember anything about the games. I need
to look at the episodes list of Fetch Rough Ruffman, to be honest.
Hey, Dara.
What?
You want to watch some Fetch with Rough Ruffman with me sometime?
Okay, but maybe.
I kind of would just go through like a season of it. I don't think I could watch the whole thing because it's like 100 episodes, but I think I could commit to a season.
Spoilers, I know who wins in all the seasons.
Oh, you can't tell me that. I cannot know that.
Well, don't look at the episode listing because it straight up tells you.
No, I don't remember any of the kids. I'm looking at their names, I don't remember them. If
you watched a season... It seems as if the hold on. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, they're all 20 episodes. But yeah, season 1, because that was the one that I remember the most.
Yeah.
That didn't have all the extended Fetch with Rough Ruffman lore characters, though, but...
Well, yeah, because Rough Ruffman has, like, an overarching plot after a while, which is incredibly strange.
Yeah, and there was the episode where they go to a place where it's, like a living museum of, like... where the pilgrims were, and we went to that place for our 3rd grade field trip. Fetch with Rough Ruffman ruled because I got to live in that world of Massachusetts, the greater Boston metropolitan area.
You know what? It sounds like that would actually give you like a much deeper kinship with Rough Ruffman than I would have.
Well, I mean, as I was saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, that does make sense, actually. It's really sinking in for me now.
I've been to the Museum of Science before. That place rules!
Yeah.
Okay. I had one more book tangent, by the way, if you want to go back to that.
Can I say one more thing about Fetch with Rough Ruffman?
Finish your Fetch thoughts.
This is not something we can research during the recording of this podcast, but it has come to my attention because of reading the Wikipedia page that... apparently last year, July of 2022, they did some type of TikTok based challenge hosted by Rough Ruffman.
Oh goodness.
And I don't know what that makes me feel. Oh my god, they also did that spin-off in like 2017 where it was just Rough Ruffman and they didn't have like kids doing any challenges. I didn't watch that. I mean, then again, in high school.
That might still be able to carry itself because Rough Ruffman, we watched the show for him as well. You
know, Daro, instead of watching Fetch with Rough Ruffman, do you instead want to watch the Rough Ruffman show where every episode is only like 7 minutes long and consists only of Rough Ruffman himself?
Yeah, but then I don't get to live through my nostalgia.
Daro, would you like to do both?
That would be a good idea. Anyway,
I
got one more book tangent left.
I don't know how much time we got left on the timer because I've been trying not to check it.
What's the timer say?
Do you want me to look at it?
Yeah, let's look at it.
We got 14 minutes.
Okay,
so we got time. You got time.
One other book that we read in middle school, not high school, once again, was it's this book called The Giver.
Oh, I remember The Giver. Yeah.
And it was a book where I'm going to spoil the whole thing because I don't care. This book was released in 1994 or whatever.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten to it yet, then...
Or 1993. If you haven't got to The Giver yet, spoiler alert, I didn't like it, but that's because I was in 7th grade again and also didn't like books.
But Daro, it's got the old dude in it who's like...
I'm going to give you things, for I am the giver, and you are the receiver, and after you have received all that I have to give, you will be the giver, and I will die because I'm old.
I have the sled or whatever. And it's like, this is a world where it's like dystopian novels are like all kind of the same in a way, you know?
Yeah.
Like 1984 happened, and that was like a banger, and everyone was like, yeah, this is a banger, and then everybody tried to make more dystopian novels, and then they were like, this is just 1984 again, but worse.
Yeah. I mean, I like Fahrenheit 451, okay. I think that
I didn't
fine.
Like that one. That's a tangent for another time.
But it's got Mildred in it. It's funny because that's relevant to the topic, but I need to let you get back to The Giver because that's also relevant to the topic.
Quick side tangent about 451. It's it's so funny because the author Ray Bradbury was living in the 50s and like technology was this new thing. It's like, technology, this is disgusting. And he's like, and there was like a scene where like the main character man, Mr. 451, had to put on like an earpiece communicator or something, and he was like, I'm going to vomit from how disgusting this is, but if it means that I get to save the world from the book-burning nuisances, then I guess I will have to vomit and be dizzy. Or something stupid like that, and it's like,
so
okay,
like
calm down, Ray.
Wearing an earbud is going to like ruin his purity or whatever.
Yeah, like, jeez. Well, anyway, The Giver was a book where like the world is in black and white. There is no more color at all. And I like what the book did, where it was like it didn't tell you that the world was in black and white. You had to figure that one out your own.
Yeah.
When Joe Jonas or whatever his name was
it is Jonas, which I made a Weezer joke when I saw it because I think the first line, And we'll come back to this. I'll let you finish, but the first line of the film adaptation, I think, is "My name is Jonas," which is the name of a Weezer song. But yeah, go on about the book.
But yeah, he's like, I'm the receiver. I'm going to get the gift of give. And he gets the gift of give, but it's the gift of give of red color. He can see the color red, but only the color red now.
Just red.
It's all black and white, and then there's red. And red all over. Just like a penguin reading a newspaper, am I right?
Oh, funny. That was an organic yawn. You did a great job.
Anyway, the book, I forgot anything about it other than the ending because I think I spark notes it or whatever, and it ends with like Jonas is like walking, like he's like, I have to give the gift of color to everyone else, and by doing that, I will run away, and by running away, somehow color gets restored to the world? ? I don't remember. And it's like, it's cold and wintry, and I am freezing to death, and I am about to die, but I hear a cabin in the woods. I see a cabin, and there's a family laughing, and then the book ends. And it's like, what? Huh?
But Daro, they're leaving it open to interpretation.
Well, I think that being open to interpretation means that you need to at least have a solid ending instead of ending it halfway through the story.
That's true.
Look at the game Jak and Daxter, all right?
Yeah.
When you get all 101 precursor orbs, when you get all 101 power cells, sometimes 100 because sometimes the game glitches and you can't get another one, you know? Yeah. It happens. There's a secret ending. Like, you beat the bad guys. They get sent to the goop dimension. You know, you did it. Good job. But then there's this door, and they're like, we gotta open that door, Jak. And then they open the door, and then it's inside is this glowy light, and then the game goes to credits. But here's the thing. That's a fine open-ending ending. Because you beat the bad guys. They're dead. We did it. We did something.
The goal was accomplished.
Did something.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a sequel to Jak. I think it was like what inside that machine was like a time machine or something. I don't know. I didn't play Jak 2. I hated that game as a kid. But
I do really like and I'm not saying that you're wrong for having this like train of thought, because I kind of find myself agreeing, but I really like the idea of you going up to Lois Lowry, the author of The Giver, and going, your book fucking sucks. You should take some fucking story writing tips from the hit PlayStation 2 video game Jak and Daxter. Or even like going up to like your English teacher and being like, yeah, I don't think The Giver's really got what we need. We should just have the class play Jak and Daxter instead.
But only the first one, because it was the only good one.
Yeah,
in the
not
series.
The second one. The second one's unbased.
There were actually 3 other sequels to The Giver, it seems.
Well, I was just going to bring that up because I've not looked into that, but these books are entitled The Giver Quartet, and it appears they take place in the same universe. It does.
So it seems like Jonas's plight or whatever happened to Jonas, who knows?
Yeah.
Because guess what? Jonas isn't the main character in the next book. I don't know if him running off into the wilderness or whatever ended up, like saving the world from their color blindness or something. I don't know.
Hang on.
Are we going to TV tropes this one?
I'm just going through the Wikipedia pages, and spoilers for The Giver Quartet if you're so inclined. Yeah. But it appears the final book in the Giver Quartet is about a girl named Claire, who's the mother of wait. I'm unclear. I think Claire is the lady who's the baby that Jonas like takes out of the village.
I forgot that happened. I forgot that he kidnapped somebody.
I only remember this because I've recently watched the Big Joel video on the film adaptation of The Giver with Jeff Bridges and Meryl Streep, which is a thing that got made.
So it seems as if Jonas didn't just die in the woods, because it seems like he's mentioned in this Wikipedia article as being alive.
Oh. Well, maybe.
Anyway, this is
maybe
why
you just gotta read the other 3 books, Daro.
No, this is why open-ended endings suck. What? Dude, this is so stupid. It was like, in the end, it seems as if Jonas had died in the cold, just to save everybody. And it's like, no, he didn't. And I mean, it's like the gap between The Giver and Gathering Blue is like 7 years.
Well,
and then it was like 2000 to 2004, and then 2004 to 2012. Like, come on. Anyway, I hate really vague endings that have no conclusion. That's my moral of the story.
Can we talk about when you're in an English class and they have you read a book, but then the book ends being like, oh, well, there's more to do, and then you find out there's like 5 other books, and you're like, well, god damn it, I have to read these on my own now. Because for some reason
they tricked me into reading.
Yeah, like those bastards. Do you remember what do you know what you talking about The Giver reminded me of is I think when I was in elementary school, we read Among the Hidden. Are you familiar with
really
Among the
Something's
Hidden?
wrong with my brain, because I really was expecting you to say Among Us.
Daro, this is every call we have. Daro, you never look me in the eyes anymore. All you ever go, I say, Daro, we gotta be serious. We gotta press forward. We can't just leave these thoughts among the wreckage. And you're like, haha, among.
See, this is what the train of thought really symbolizes deep down. Actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We
have to end this podcast halfway through it, so that way it's a vague ending, and you'll never know what happens.
Oh my god. I mean, it'll be a vague ending because the convo will probably get cut off, so we'll see how much we let it trail. But I'm sorry, before I go into Among the Hidden, which I don't know how much time I have to do so, I'm on the Wikipedia page for the Among the Hidden series, which is called the Shadow Children series. And there's a minor character in it named Tidwell. His name is Tidwell. And the first sentence of the description of Tidwell says, known informally as Titty. And I just can't do it.
Is this the book series where it's like, in this world, there can only be one child in a family or something?
Yes, that's the one, yeah.
I have not read it, but I've heard about it.
I mean, I was probably like 6 when I read it. Well, not 6. I was probably closer to 10. But we read the first one in like an elementary school class, and I was like, yo, and then I read the next several. I don't remember if I ever finished all of them.
Hey, I really hate to break your stride, but please look at what the sequel's called.
Oh, god damn it. The first book in the Shadow Children franchise is called Among the Hidden. The second one is, of course, entitled Among the Imposters. This might be retroactively the funniest book of all time. Oh my god. I can't. Let me check the time. We got like 3.5 minutes, but that would have been such a good closer. Now we have to. We gotta keep going.
It's okay.
I gotta push through.
There was one book that I read that I had to read for. Well, I didn't have to read it. It was like over the summer break, you were forced to make a book report on something that you had to choose. So my mom basically chose a book for me, and she was like, "Oh, you're like a gamer. You'll like this." And you know what she picked?
Oh god, was it Ready Player One?
You bet it was Ready Player One.
Oh my god.
I read the first chapter of that book. It was like, this is horrible. And then I skipped to the ending, and I was like, okay, I could make a book report off this.
Isn't the bit with at Ready Player One is that you read through like the first chapter, and it's just like one pop cultural reference after another? It's like
you read through the first chapter, and like Wade or whatever his name is like, hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that Santa Claus isn't real. Sorry about that, kids.
Take that, liberals. Yeah.
And it's like, all right, this guy sucks. And then you get into we're in the VR, we're in the Oculus Quest or whatever. And it's like, my name is John VR. I created this world because I have too much of an attachment to the 80s. Anyway, here's the 80s reference and another 80s reference. Did you know? Guys, did you know the original Easter egg? Guys, did you know that Adventure on the Atari had the original Easter egg, guys? Guys, did you know about the 80s?
Guys, the DeLorean.
Guys. There's Jaws over there.
Oh man,
I don't know anything about this book.
There's Jaws.
I literally
there.
didn't read it.
Daro, you're in luck because I'm sure you're aware they made a movie.
Oh, I know, and I didn't watch it, and I don't know what people online said about it, but I'm pretty sure it's like
they didn't like it.
And man, this really feels like, hey guys, do you remember this thing? Oh yeah, that's cool. Hey, remember that one? Awesome.
Daro, not only did they make a movie, but they actually made another movie. They made a sequel. Do you know what the sequel's called?
Ready Player 2?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what you could possibly make a sequel on about that book, because I'm pretty sure it ends with like Wade and his gamer girlfriend having the keys to the city or something.
Well, now they get the keys to the state, and then in Ready Player 3 they'll get the keys to the country.
Well, I mean, they live in the super guess what? Young adult dystopia alert!
Oh, woo, yeah! It's the most interesting genre of book.
I love YA dystopia novels.
Is there like an interesting dystopia novel that's not 1984? Because I feel like most of them are not that good.
Is there a good dystopian video game? I would have said Sonic SatAM, but
that would be pretty good. Sonic Underground.
Listen.
Sonic Underground, where the power of music saves the world. Why didn't we watch that in English class?
I have a DVD box set of that show.
I do too. I opened it up a while ago, and there's like a soundtrack in there, so I have to rip that still. Yeah, I just, could you imagine opening a book in elementary school English class, and it's like, all right, turn to chapter 1, and you're just triplets born, the throne awaits, the seer warns of a deadly fate. Give up your children. Oh, that's the timer.
Give up your podcast.
Give up. Okay, well, stop beeping. Let's see if we can trace back what happened. If you'll remember, we returned to our starting destination several times.
Because as we all know, this train track isn't a straight line. It's, as the Whovians would say, I'm sorry for that, I threw up in my mouth a little bit, but as they would say, a timey-wimey ball of wibbly-wobbly, blimey.
Daro, I don't think I can do this podcast with you anymore. Anyway, we ended... well, here, let's set this up. Our starting destination was, of course, I've written it down, books we read in English class, on which the conversation began with Romeo and Juliet.
Not a book, but okay.
We read it in book form. It was pressed into a book. It's as good as any other kind of book. The conversation, if you'll remember, the hopping off point. By the way, Hope's Peak Academy is on your left. Please don't
go to Hope's Peak Academy.
It's weird. It's a
you
government
have ultimate talent or something.
It's a government-funded school of privilege. Anyway, no, our hopping off point actually, Dara, was Sonic Underground.
Oh wait! Oh, you meant like where we ended it? Yeah, that's fair.
I guess jumping off point and hopping off point aren't really the same. I should probably clarify that more.
When the train started to derail was hit clips.
Stopping. Yeah. So hit clips. Should we trace it from the back to the beginning, or should we trace it from the beginning to the end?
Do you think I remember anything? I remember we talked about Curious George, and George Everlasting is going to be the name of the episode.
Well,
now.
You remembered hit clips, which I'd forgotten about. So let's see if we. Do you want to start at the beginning, or do you want to start at the end? We can do this with
teamwork. Jonii, I don't remember anything anymore. This has been a blur. Oh, okay. Wait, we talked about Fat Rough Ruffman.
Wait, Daro, the order. Okay, we'll start at the end. How about we'll trace our way back?
Okay, we'll go back.
Sonic Underground. We got off on that because you were talking about Sonic SatAM, because that's a dystopian piece of fiction, and we were of course talking about dystopian young adult novels, everyone's favorite type of book. Now, the specific dystopian young adult novels we were talking about were, of course, the Among the Hidden franchise, which contains Among the Imposters, Sus, Among Us tangent happened in there somewhere.
No, you forgot the Ready Player One. We went to
Ready Player One. Yeah. It was
It's so forgettable that even you forgot.
It was Among the Hidden to Among Us to Ready Player One. But before that, the thing that I believe... Well, no, it didn't get us on the train to begin with, but we did have a talk about The Giver. Before The Giver, what did we talk about? We talked about another book or book series. Fahrenheit 451 in 1984 came up. Oh, this is going to be hard. Did we derail at some point, and then The Giver was getting us back on track? We were talking about Fetch with Rough Ruffman.
We derail. That's the fun part. This train has no brakes, and that's why we derail.
That was a teleportation moment.
We have there's a lot of tracks on this part of land, so we end up just landing back on the track occasionally.
You would not believe the amount of government funding this railway system gets.
This railroad was invented by the guy who made Thrillville off the rails, all right?
Oh, dude, Mortimer? Don't even get me started on Mortimer. We'll talk about next episode, Thrillville? Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, we're talking about Fetch with Rough Ruffman. There is a lot of lore to cover there. They made a spin-off, they made a TikTok thing, and we were talking about that because we were talking about PBS shows, which of course began with Curious George, of which they made a film with the Man in the Yellow Hat, and the Man in the Yellow Hat came up because we were talking about the Man in the Yellow Suit, who is a character in Tuck Everlasting.
I hope you almost said George Everlasting. That'd been great.
I was desperately trying to remember which book it was. And how did we start talking? Was Tuck Everlasting a getting back on track moment, or
was
were
it
you
getting back on
about
track tangent? Because you said you read it, and then you made me realize, oh, I read this.
Yeah. Were you talking about a book before that, or was it just kind of?
I can't remember.
We were talking about Kino's journey at some point because Kino. I think that was earlier though. It was so long ago. Oh God, this is hard. Okay, hang on. Let me think about this. So we leave off on Tuck Everlasting. Let's see if we can trace some of the trajectory from the beginning and see if we can work our way up to Tuck Everlasting. How about? So
yeah, you can't use our browser history to guess.
Yeah, that's true. If anything, I should close all of the tabs before we guess, because this has spoiled Kino's Journeys inclusion for me. But, as you said, we're talking about the live-action Romeo and Juliet movie, and I talked about...
That was the very beginning.
Yeah, I'm starting from the beginning now and seeing if we can connect the threads.
Connect the dots.
So we started connect the dots. We started with Shakespeare. We talked about the live-action Leonardo DiCaprio Romeo and Juliet film. I mentioned that I own the Music Edition DVD, which contains a mode where you can check where each song is used in the movie. And I described it's like, 20 seconds. And you're like, oh, like hit clips. So we started talking about fucking hit clips. Now here's the real problem is I cannot remember what eventually steered us back on track. There's a missing thread somewhere here.
Yeah, there's something that happened. You were talking about like M2M or whatever. Who knows?
M2M came up, but I don't think they led us anywhere in particular. We talked about Smash Mouth a little bit too.
We talked about Tony Hawk's secret characters.
Yeah, it went into Tony Hawk because I think one of the...
Oh yeah, Lil Romeo.
Lil Romeo, yeah. And then we talked about Tony Hawk for like a while. Eventually we started talking about white dresses and cowboy hats. That was when we steered back on track.
Yeah, that was when I started to go on my tangent because I realized, wait a minute, we can't have the episode be about required reading and then only talk about it for 1 second.
Yeah, so we steered back on track, which then led to a tangent about me seeing a lot of cowgirls outside a concert. We talked about furries a little bit.
as per usual.
This probably sounds deranged to anyone who skipped to the back half of the podcast.
This is the fun part. We put the back half first, and then you have to figure out what happened.
Yeah, you have to listen along.
No, that's a terrible idea.
You're tempting me, but no, I think it would be awful.
No, you make 2 uploads. You get the normal upload and then the insane people upload.
That might be fun. There should maybe
challenge mode.
We'll figure it out. Maybe every 10 episodes we'll do the recap compilation. But yeah, we went on back. We steered back on track to the symbolism thing. And symbolism led you to a book that you didn't like.
It was Great Gatsby.
The Great Gatsby.
I didn't even talk about T.J. Eckleburg, but...
No, because I was listen. I didn't read The Great Gatsby. And then we gotta get to Tuck somehow.
Gotta get to Tuck.
Great Gatsby to Tuck.
I think it was like kind of like a transition from rambling about symbolism, and then we went into game theory a little bit.
Oh yeah, game theorying the book. We talked about MatPat.
Vaguely.
A little bit. And then I don't remember if I was just like, yeah, that's cool. I didn't read The Great Gatsby. You know what I did read is Tuck Everlasting. I don't know if that happened.
The Pearl happened at some point.
The Pearl happened in between these two things.
We were talking about Mexico and how you're bad at geography, and I interrupted you.
Yes, and you were talking about the film adaptation of The Pearl. I think this is it. I think it was you were talking about the film adaptation.
The film adaptation, and you're like,
Pearl.
oh, we watched like a movie of like a 2003 movie about this thing called Tuck Everlasting or something.
Yeah, I was like, speaking of bad film adaptations of books, did you ever read fucking Tuck Everlasting?
Don't replace that T with an F.
Fuck Everlasting. That, you know, right. I'm tempted, but I don't think we can call the episode Fuck Everlasting.
Listen.
As fun as that would be. I think we have to commit to George.
We have to commit to George.
Alright, well, the train is a little bit scuffed up from our
there's a bit of multi-track drifting.
Yeah, we had a bit of a hectic voyage, but at the end of the day, we got you where you needed to go. You got to have some peanuts on the way. Nobody helped me on shell mine, so I guess I'll just go fuck myself.
I still have my patent pending on my mascot status. We'll see.
Hoping
everybody likes a good mascot.
No other furry purple rodents take that away from you.
No, dude, competition's stiff right now. Listen.
Yeah, there's a lot of furry purple rodents.
You really got to fight back against the old guano.
Guano. Anyway, you may now exit the train, or you can, if you'd like to stick on for a bit, you can hit like. If you'd like to give us a rating,
give us a rating, give us a subscribe, give us a comment saying, "Man, I can't believe Jonni's doing a podcast now. Has he really fallen into the well of 30-year-old white men?" Making podcasts.
I was ahead of the curve. I was a part of the EE podcast before my channel even had 2 subscribers.
You know what? Listen, I think we're both like that.
You know, it very well could be. Yeah, but yeah, if you want to do any of those things, question my integrity, question Daro's integrity, buy me a coffee, not on the website, just in real life. I could go for a coffee.
Yeah, with those peanuts.
Yeah, it would go pair nicely if I have to have something this salty, you know, on account of the whole shell problem. But yeah, and chugga choo choo. I don't know if we're on any type of schedule with these podcasts. It would be kind of nice.
This is the pilot episode, which is weird because you don't pilot a train. You pilot a plane.
You pilot an Evangelion.
Okay.
All right, get off the train. Get off my fucking train. Leave. Go. Hey, everyone. I forgot to say that you should do all the podcast. You should subscribe to our YouTube channel and also comment. And also, if you're not listening to this on YouTube, maybe give us a follow or a rating. I don't know. Get off the fucking train.